World. A lot of news been going on in the National Basketball Association, so we're going to cover it here on First Take ESPN. Molly Karam, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, J2K. Basically, when it comes to the Houston Rockets, Mike D'Antoni left as the coach, mutual parted ways. He's now joining the Brooklyn Nets as an assistant coach. I'll make another video for that probably. I think that's a great opportunity for Mike D'Antoni. I believe the Brooklyn Nets are going to win a championship. They're going to win one. I don't know when that would be, but I'll cover another video for another day. So it leaves kind of the head coach position open. Now, the Rockets already filled that in with a former assistant coach for the Dallas Mavericks, so they already got that as right there. No one expected that pick. It's kind of a curveball. No one really saw it, but that's fine where it is. I've always stated James Harden, the Rockets, their peak was in 2018 when they secured the first seed and they went to Game 7 of the conference finals. I said after that they're never... Well, I thought in 2019 they had a good chance since Kevin Durant got injured in Game 5 and Game 6 of the semis, but they blew it. But basically their peak was in 2018, and besides from that, the Rockets have been kind of going down a little more. They made the huge trade, Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. You had first-round picks as well. And that experiment has not been working out. They've been trying to go the small ball type of ways, putting P.J. Tucker at the 5, being demolished out there by the Los Angeles Lakers with their bigs, with Dwight, Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee. And basically with the Lakers, when they play that series, they went small ball. They still dismantle them, so it's whatever. It is what it is. But basically we're going to kind of cover here. Daryl Morey is now joining and leaving the Rockets and joining the Philadelphia 76ers to pretty much take on the operations over there as a general manager. So there's been rumors and talks of James Harden on the Rockets going to the Philadelphia 76ers and a possible Ben Simmons trade or swap. Now we'll cover a little more into that, but basically the Rockets are in a position to where they can rebuild their team, blow it up, let alone they can try to retool and try to chase championship aspirations. And if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, a lot of media pundits, TV guys have been pretty much saying that the 76ers need to make a big move. Of course, I'm going to give my take a little more into here.
Daryl Morey is finalizing a deal to become the Philadelphia 76ers' new president of basketball operations. Sources told ESPN general manager Elton Brand is expected to remain in his current position, and new head coach Doc Rivers is a proponent of the hiring. Sources have said Rivers and Morey have a long history and a strong relationship. Stephen A., what?
I think real quickly for Elton Brand, this was a good move on his side because he was running as the GM, the general manager, making trades, signing free agents, dealing with all that stuff, roster changes. So I think whenever Elton Brand, he probably got scrutinized by internally when he brought in Al Horford and Tobias Harris on those big contracts. So basically, he's kind of in a position to where the 76ers are on a big plug right now. They're on a holdage. They need to make some... I don't think any drastic moves. I think you need to get Tobias Harris and Al Horford's contract out of there. They got to retool to pretty much fit the team and the chemistry, and everyone fits directly towards Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons together. Now, you did bring in Doc Rivers for Brett Brown. I'm not crazy about that pick as a head coach for player development reasons. We'll see how that works within there. But as they brought in Daryl Morey as pretty much their GM, Daryl Morey always wants to get big names. He wants to make the right roster moves and changes. And Daryl Morey, he's been successful when it came to the Rockets. Now, when it came to trading for Chris Paul for the Russell Westbrook, I didn't agree with that. But, I mean, it is what it is. I think he's going to do fine. He's going to do well with the 76ers. Take off the load and stress for Elton Brand. And when it comes to Daryl Morey, he likes to put shooters out there. And ideally, he knows you have Ben Simmons on the team. You need shooters. You need to go back to that 2018 team when you had J.J. Redick, Marco Bellinelli, Irvine Silva, shooters surrounding. And that's what the 76ers have lacked with Elton Brand last season. They did not have the shooters. They did not have the personnel. They had bad contracts. You had veterans that didn't even fit on the mold of chemistry basis and player roles. But I trust Daryl Morey to make some good internal moves. I don't think he'll do anything drastic. I think you got to keep Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I may be wrong on his perspective, though.
What should Morey do to help these 76ers win?
Max Kellerman, I thought long and hard about this. First of all, if I'm the Houston Rockets, I don't do it. But if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers and the goal is to get to the finals, I'm Daryl Morey. The first thing I'm trying to do is get James Harden to become a Philadelphia 76er.
That's not a good move. I know internally a lot of people are quote unquote in the moment type basis. That's what the media is. Same thing when it came to the Clippers, championship aspirations, crowning them, seeing the Lakers had a cakewalk, all that nonsense. Listen, the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid experiment has only been for 3 seasons. They've made the second round twice, and then the third season, Ben Simmons didn't even play in the playoffs, so they got bounced in the first round. They're fine. They played 3 seasons together. Remember with Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Kevin Durant, they didn't make their finals, starting with Kevin Durant, they didn't make the finals until around his 4th or 5th season in the NBA. It's not a big deal. You got Ben Simmons, who's young. I think he's around 23. You got Joel Embiid, who's around 25, 26. So pretty much you got 3 seasons that you played with those two. You're gonna have now you want to have another 3 seasons, maybe even 4, to before they're unrestricted free agent to where you can blow it up. So they're pretty much around halfway to where they need to be, and they've been progressing really well, except for last season. It is what it is. But bringing in Daryl Morey, they can make some good, easy internal moves. Basically, Ben Simmons needs to be a scorer. He needs to play as a wing. He needs to be able to take more jumpers in the game, change up his game as a scorer. And with Joel Embiid, he needs to dominate inside and pretty much take care of his body and stay healthy. That's all they can do to grow their potential and stay durable. Personally, what I would do is you need to bring in a true point guard. They need to make a trade for Ricky Rubio. I think he'd be a perfect point guard to start. You can have him and Simmons bring up the ball time to time, initiate the offense. You need to bring in shooters. So you want to sign a Wesley Matthews. You can probably make a trade with the Kings for Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and picks to get Buddy Hield, get shooters in there. When it comes to your bigs, you can probably sign a Marc Gasol pretty cheap, probably like around $7 million if he's not going overseas. You want to get guys pace and space when it comes to the 76ers. It's not really hard to do so. I trust and envision Daryl Morey, since he's done it with Harden and the Rockets of this day and age, how to put this team together. But you do not need to trade Simmons. No reason to trade Joel Embiid. You're halfway where you need to be. Do another 3 to 4 seasons with them, and basically, I think they would get one finals appearance. I don't think they're going to win a championship, but they'll be able to get one finals appearance. You do not need James Harden on that team.
Even if it means me trading Ben Simmons. Let me say this again.
Real quick, and I'm going to let him talk, but you don't trade Ben Simmons, who's going to be a generational talent, an impact player, franchise player, for James Harden, who's 30 years old. He's going to be 31. And basically, if you have a Harden experiment, it's probably going to be for only 3 years. And he's not going to fit well with Joel Embiid. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. And in the Eastern Conference, you still have those big teams out there. You're not going to be able to go ahead and beat the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie and KD when they're going against the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that'll be a pretty close matchup if it's Harden and Embiid out there. But basically for that, the 76ers, you have a great young core of Embiid and Simmons. You keep them together. You let them grow. You don't speed up the process for James Harden, who's been somewhat declining, and he's going to be 31 years of age. You don't do that.
I love me some Ben Simmons. I know how elite defensively he is. He's only 24 years of age, 6'10". Plays defense the way that he does, the basketball IQ, the basketball ability. But I will remind everybody, while we sit here and we lament the state of affairs with the Houston Rockets and all of this other stuff, let me remind everybody that for the last 3 years, James Harden has averaged 30, 36, and 34. The last 5 years, he's averaged at least 29. We know he got a handle. We know he got a shot. We know he's a scoring machine. He's a magician, okay? And the opportunity to pair him with somebody like a Joel Embiid, when you have the Tobias Harrises of the world and Thibault and all of these guys, when you look at what they have in place, What you're missing, now I understand there's a difference between a spot-up shooter and somebody that can dance on you all day. And I'm certainly believing that James Harden has to modify his game in terms of I shouldn't need to dribble as much as I need to dribble in order to score, because that's going to impede the flow to some degree. Can't have guys standing around and playing spectators. You tried that, it didn't work. But I'm telling you right now, even though James Harden is 31 and Ben Simmons is only 24, even though Ben Simmons, James Harden can't shine his shoes when it comes to playing defense, okay? Even though James Harden does play defense in the post area.
James Harden, you know what? No more with this. He doesn't play defense. He's a solid defender.
You'll get your chance. I'm coming right to you because I'm coming.
I was surprised by this take, by the way.
The reason I'm saying I'm coming to you is because you have mentioned in the past about separating Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So I basically.
You know how ridiculous that is of saying you need to separate those two guys when they played only 3 seasons together? That just baffles me, man. It's very toxic, the liberal media these days. Listen, the 76ers, they're fine where they're at. You should be excited. You got Simmons, who's 24. You got Embiid, who's 26. They're young. You got another 3-4 seasons of them being paired together. You're going to be fine where it's at. Now, if you're the Houston Rockets, I've always stated since their peak was 2018, and they lost in the conference finals, the second round, now the second round again. They're kind of reaching that point to where they're not going to be able to implode back up into the conference finals. I've always stated now, James Harden, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for this will be his last season. I can consider him as a number one option to where he can be a number one option to be a championship contending team to where you could possibly win the finals. I'm being generous for it, but basically he pretty much needs to be a number 2 option in his career as of right now. I think ideally he would be perfect if he would be paired with Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers if there's no Paul George. Now, logistically, that trade will not go down, and it doesn't make sense for, there's not going to be any draft picks for the Clippers, yada, yada. But basically, Harden needs to be a number 2 option. If you move him to Philly, he's going to be back to the number 1 option. Embiid is not going to be that go-to guy. That would fit very well with them. I couldn't see that work out at all. But no, Harden, you got to trade him away to a team to where he can be a number 2 option, or a 1A, 1B type basis. But, Harden would still want to be a number 1 guy, probably until he's like 33, 34. But I think best for his career as of right now. But, that's how it goes. I don't know. Stephen A. Smith is talking about, James Harden being traded to Philly. Don't do it. That's just in the moment. That's like a 2K move. Don't do it.
I just did this take for our audience. I did it for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because I want to hand it to you. But I'm just telling you, I thought about it. And with Doc Rivers as the coach, with Daryl Morey and all of them damn trades, because only the Philadelphia 76ers have made more moves than Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey will trade anything. This brother makes things happen. I'm just saying, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers and Daryl Morey is officially named my president of basketball operations, my number 1 objective is to try to get James Harden in a Philadelphia 76er uniform. And I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
Well,
no, that trade proposal is very rush, and it's very forced as well. That would only have to be a 3-year experience or experiment if you have James Harden in there, and you're not going to win a championship either ways. Now, if you're the Rockets, you make that trade because, again, the timeline for Harden on the Rockets was, 8 seasons? His peak is already gone with them. And basically, this is the perfect time to where you can get the most value from James Harden. It is what it is. If you get Ben Simmons, that's perfect for the Rockets' new direction. Now, for Ben Simmons, you do not want that to happen because you're going to move over to the Western Conference, and we already know how loaded that conference is. You're going to have more responsibility of taking, a dying team to the playoffs, and it's not ideal. But Ben Simmons is fine. He's going to stay with the 76ers. Daryl Morey should know this as of right now. I'd be shocked if they trade Ben Simmons. I would not be too shocked if they trade Embiid. I don't think they need to do that, and I don't see a suitable trade for Embiid in the market right now. You got to keep those two together.
let me say, if you can get James Harden, great. It's not that Simmons and Embiid don't play well together. They do. I just think that you can really unlock, especially Ben Simmons, if you give him his own team. The way they did with the Greek Freak, only Simmons has even better, not even better. Simmons has, his handles are ridiculous. For 6'10", we've never seen handles like that at 6'10". if I were going to separate them, okay, presuming Simmons is physically okay after his injury, I would probably move Embiid and not Simmons. Embiid came in with bad knees and since then has had a bad back.
Okay.
Yep.
For me personally,
Yep.
I'm not thinking health. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just talking basketball. I understand health-wise, I understand.
Here's my issue with
I'm just
trading
talking
for
basketball
Harden.
game.
Of course, if they get James
Right.
Harden, one of the best players in the world, you get James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my issue, especially with trading Ben Simmons for him. People tend to think of, like, in baseball, they thought money ball equals on-base percentage. No.
Mm-hmm.
Or in basketball, money ball equals, or analytics equal shooting the three well. No. Has really nothing to do with it at all. What money ball does, especially in a league with a cap that's important, is identify undervalued commodities. The marketplace is not valuing that properly. That has more value than people realize, and acquiring them, right? That's how you get a better team for the same money. That's what Daryl Morey did with James Harden. Everyone knew James Harden was good, but Daryl Morey looked and said, no, he's great, actually. He's much better than people realize, and got him for a song in retrospect. James Harden ain't undervalued anymore. You ain't playing Moneyball with no James Harden. James Harden will cost you an arm and a leg. Meantime, people look at Ben Simmons and go, that's not a Daryl Morey type of player. He can't shoot the three. Ben Simmons has created more open threes than for teammates than anyone in the world since he joined the NBA. No other NBA player has created more open looks from three than Ben Simmons. And how does Ben Simmons score? He scores in the paint. Well, that's the highest percentage shot there is, in fact. No, he's an analytics-friendly player. The analytics like Ben Simmons, to say nothing of his defense. And if you look at what Milwaukee did with Antetokounmpo, they built around him, and he and Simmons were developing, if you look at their careers year over year, at the same rate, and then Antetokounmpo became an MVP candidate, and Simmons didn't because he has to deal with a guy in the middle. Look what Daryl Morey did in Houston. He took away the guy in the middle for Westbrook.
So what do you want to see happen?
Like I said before, I wouldn't be too shocked if they traded away Embiid. I think Daryl Morey actually would probably do that. Now, I'm trying to think exactly how they're going to deal with Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons wants to be a point guard. Personally, for me, he needs to be moved to a 3 or 4. He needs to average around 27, 28 a game. He needs to be a scorer out there. Of course, you can still initiate the offense, bring up the ball from time to time, and, kick it out for assists like a LeBron type basis. But you need to go out there and you need to score if you're Ben Simmons, and you're definitely going to be a top 5 player in the league if you're able to do so consistently. Actually, I don't even know if it's say top 5. The league's so stacked. Top 10 for sure. Basically for Ben Simmons, he needs to score the basketball. He needs to shoot jumpers. I don't care if it goes in or not. You need to keep the defense guessing out there. I don't know if we're really going to see too much of that for Ben Simmons, because this is his 3rd season and he barely took any jumpers this season. I don't know what's up with him. His shot doesn't look bad. Usually shooters who are left-handed looks pretty smooth. His shot looks pretty smooth. It just doesn't go in. We've seen him in practice. He takes shots. I just think he just doesn't want to put it in his game, because I don't know. Only taking like 3 threes in a season, that makes 0 sense. We kind of ended off here basically with Daryl Morey joining the Philadelphia 76ers. You need to keep Ben Simmons and Embiid for at least 2 to 3 more seasons. Now, if it goes terrible for next season and players don't mesh at all, then yeah, definitely look to trade Embiid. You want to keep Ben Simmons on your team. He's 24 years of age. He's going to run through the Eastern Conference. He's not even in his peak, which is scary, of course. You need to work internally with Doc Rivers and Ben Simmons to change up his game. And it's very simple. You want to make a trade, bring in Buddy Hield, throw away picks. You need to get those contracts out. You need Tobias Harris out of that team. You need Al Horford out of there. You can also throw in Josh Richardson as well and picks. You can bring in Buddy Hield, then get some free agents like Wesley Matthews, out there. I can't think of others on top of my head right now. But just stretch